pure education. That's what we're all about. And today I've got some content for you that amongst all the content that we've done, because we've done a lot of stuff. If you can see here, constant education, nonstop. What happens is you run out of ideas, but I came up with one. I thought about one and I think this is going to be great. And we're going to get into it right now, because if you've suffered a fire, if you suffered water damage, or if you're a public adjuster or whatever, you're going to get something out of this. So let's get into it right now in 3, in 2, in 1. What's up, advocates? My name is Vince Perry and welcome to the Commercial Claims Show, and I am so excited about the topic that we have for you today. What's up, advocates and policyholders? This one is for you. What I want to talk about today is basically how to turn a denial into actual payment. There is a step-by-step process that I personally like to go through over my experience as to whether a claim has been denied and how you could actually get that overturned. It all started several years ago. I'll never forget. Not several years ago, more than that, but I'd say it started like around when I was like around year 3, year 4, year 5, where we used to get claims in, and quite frankly back then not as many claims were getting denied, but when it would get denied, a lot of times we really had no choice but to send it to an attorney. So we would just call an attorney, hey, can you get this claim overturned? They take a look at the file, they said yes, and they would take it from there. And you know, it's not a bad route. It's not part of my top 4 that we're going to go through, but it is obviously an option. You could just go to the attorney. However, what's some of the downsides to going to an attorney? It could take some time and it could cost you some more as well. But with the story that I wanted to tell you is that I'll never forget reading a denial letter and just like actually reading through it, okay? Like really looking at it and just telling myself, this is BS. There's no reason this claim that I set up and took the photos and documented, presented to the insurance company because I knew it was the most legitimate claim ever, got denied. So I started to look into it. Then I looked at the policy. And then what happens is I started to sort of craft this factual story as to why it shouldn't have been denied. And guess what happened? I got it overturned. So whether you are a public adjuster or you're a policyholder, this is for you on the step-by-step process that I like to go through to try to get a claim overturned after it's been denied. It all starts from the beginning, making sure that you're doing the claim correctly and setting it up correctly. But we're starting from the actual denial. So I personally like to draw stuff. If you know anything about my mastermind, every week we have a whiteboard and we draw. And by the way, we're here in the beautiful offices of Elite Resolutions. I like to draw things. I like to draw models. I think it's a much easier way to understand things. So we're going to go, there's 4 things, right, that basically, all right, are that you need in order for you to actually get a claim to get overturned after it's been denied. The first thing is understand, okay? Understand. All right, what exactly does understand mean? Understand the denial letter. You have to make sure that you read the denial, okay? You must read the denial letter, okay? The denial letter is going to tell you exactly what is the reason for the denial. Now, one thing that I want to know, one thing that you want to make sure of is you have an HO3 policy. What is an HO3 policy? HO3 policy is basically, it's an open peril policy. What does that mean? A peril is a specific event, wind, water, whatever it is. An open peril policy, it basically means that anything could happen in your home and it will be covered under the insurance. The only reason it won't be covered under the insurance is if there is an exclusion on the policy. So if there's an exclusion on the policy which says that it will not get paid because this is occurring, then they will deny it. Now, the most common exclusions, and you'll want to see if the denial is any of the common exclusions. Most common exclusions are wear and tear, faulty construction, long-term repeated seepage. Those are kind of the main ones. You're going to notice that if you've had a claim denied, that's the reason for the denial. If you're a public adjuster, you know it's pretty much the same denial all the time. So take a look at the policy. You have to understand the denial letter, read the denial letter. One thing that they must quote the policy, which means they must actually take the exclusion that's in the policy and put it in the denial letter. If they don't, that's technically not an acceptable denial. So make sure that they actually quote the policy. Make sure that you have an HO3 policy. Make sure that you read through that denial and understand that there are common exclusions and take a look at it. You already know that if they're saying that it's not because it's a sudden and accidental event and you know it is sudden accidental, you have your arguments that you could go ahead and you could present there. Once you understand the denial letter, okay, the next thing you have to do is read policy. You have to read your policy, okay? Take a look at your policy, get a good understanding of it. Take a look at the exclusions. First, you want to match exclusions. So what does that mean? Making sure that the exclusion that they're putting in your denial letter is actually an exclusion under your insurance policy. Because if it's not, then that's going to be an easy win for you, okay? Next thing, you're going to want to look at just some common coverages, all right? So take a look at your coverages. Normally, we're talking about the building, right? Because you're going to have two sections of your policy. You're going to have the building section, which is just the building that's all in all its coverages. You're going to have the personal property. Don't get the two confused, because sometimes you're going to be reading something in the personal property that may apply, but it doesn't apply in this case because we're talking about the building. And in this case, we're talking about the building. So go through your coverages, make sure that you have a good understanding. If it's a water damage, make sure that you understand the meaning, the definition of water damage, and its exclusion for water damage if there is one, and that'll help you get an understanding to actually craft your argument that you're going to want to actually do to present to the insurance company. So read the policy, all right, match the exclusion, make sure that you understand the coverages, okay? Also, obviously, understand the exclusions and just get a good idea, get a good grasp of your insurance policy. Also confirm, of course, that it is an HO3 policy so that you could actually, you already know that it's an open peril. I keep going back to this HO3 because it will be one of the common arguments you're going to use to the insurance company depending on what the exclusion is. All this, guys, depends on the exclusion. I'm giving you just a very general overview of sort of how to take a look at it and how to really approach if one of your claims is denied. So that's it. So you're going to understand the denial letter. You're going to read through the policy, match exclusions, coverages, so on and so forth. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to start gathering the evidence, okay? Evidence. Evidence is very important. Now, I do want to stress that we have not contacted the insurance company yet. Insurance company's contacted you. I think a good reason is to just make sure that you're calmed down, right? Because a lot of times you get denied and the first thing you want to do is start screaming and yelling and speaking to supervisors. Not yet. You don't want to do that until you actually have the facts in hand. So once you understand the denial and the reason why they denied it and you realize that it's BS, you take a look at your policy and you understand that, okay, you know what? There's some loopholes in here. There's some language in here that actually helps support the reason why this is BS. You're going to gather your evidence, okay? What's some of the common evidence that we always do is obviously photos, okay? Right? See, take a look at the photos. Do you have photos from the date of loss? Right? Or are they just photos after? Or even better, before, okay? Because they may want to tell you that this is long term, but you have a photo of like the day before or a week or a month before that indeed that damage wasn't there. That's going to go a long way. So photos, get photos of the date of loss, after, before. You're going to want invoices or proposals. Get any invoice, getting into proposals, because again, that's most likely going to help any kind of argument that you might have to try to go ahead and reverse that. So make sure you get photos, invoices, proposals. You may want to get experts too, right? Okay. Experts are going to help you basically craft your argument, okay? Obviously, a great expert you can get is a public adjuster himself, but excuse me, you're going to also maybe we need an engineer, you may need a plumber, you need a roofer, you may need whoever it is that's going to actually help your case and prove against whatever it is that you're trying to prove. Those, to me, in regards to evidence, are the three most important things that you're going to want to get. So you're going to want to try to get yourself some photos to prove stuff. You're going to want to get some invoices and proposals to either prove repairs or whatever it is that needs to be done. And then get yourself some experts, some real expert documentation from an engineer, from a plumber, from a public adjuster, from someone that could actually help you prove that your case is indeed the real deal, okay? And then, and only then, after you've gathered your entire document and you want to like literally try to go ahead, this is just one of our files, build a file, right, of the entire case, that's when you contact the insurance company. I had been looking for an accountant for years and I was unable to find anybody that I liked, that I worked with and was able to do what I needed to be done to my taxes and to my accountant. Jeremy David at Noble Wealth has been a godsend to me, my family, and my company. We have saved so much money in taxes I can't even begin to describe, and he knows what he's doing. You need to call Jeremy at Noble Wealth and get yourself the right accountant, because he's the man who's going to help you save on taxes, because ultimately you don't want to be making money, especially if you're self-employed, and having it all go to the IRS. Call Jeremy, call Noble Wealth, and they will help you tremendously with the entire accounting process and your tax situation from A to Z. Guys, this is Vince Perry again, the Commercial Claims Advocate. I really hope that you're enjoying this content so far because wait until you see what happens next. Stay tuned. Okay, contact the insurance company, all right? Now, when you contact the insurance company, I think it's very important. It should be obvious, but keep a level head, okay? All right, make sure that you do not overreact. Make sure that you do not get upset. Make sure that you understand sort of where they're coming from and you just want to know their reason, right? So ask questions. Okay, that's a big one. Okay, one of the most common one of the most common tactics of negotiation is actually asking questions. Don't just go in there with your A game and just blast them with a bunch of information. Get an understanding. Ask them questions. Ask for the reason. Two things are going to happen. You're going to gather more information, which is going to ultimately help your argument. But the other thing that this is going to do is that you might actually be able to pin them into a corner. You might actually be able to get them to say something that actually totally supports what you're trying to say and really put them in a very awkward position. So make sure you're level-headed, make sure that you ask questions, and then once you've done this, you've established a base, then you could say, hey, look, listen, I've gathered all the documentation. I'd like for you to go ahead and go through it and tell me if you still, one thing that I like to say is I'd like for you to reconsider your position, all right? Reconsider your position, but then you could present the facts, okay? And the way you do that is definitely you want to send an email, and you want to send a letter, and we even send a fax, okay? Our phone system that we use, we're able to still send faxes. So make sure you get them all because you could actually get confirmation of them actually opening it. You can get confirmation of them opening an email, you can get confirmation of them receiving a fax, and you could also get confirmation if you send something certified. We do all this virtually, by the way. Email is obviously virtual, fax is going to be virtual through our phone system, and then also a certified letter, we use a website called Click2Mail. That's with the number 2, Click2Mail, that we can actually send certified letters and we can get return receipts, basically knowing that they've actually returned open receipts, knowing that they've actually opened it. So that's when you go in and present the facts. Give them time, okay? Give them time to review it and see what they say. Another thing that you can do besides just presenting the facts is you could also request a reinspection. All right? If for some reason their initial is maybe not a denial, but it's under deductible, or they just basically, you're presenting facts that maybe they didn't see before, you're more than okay to go ahead and present and request a reinspection, which means another insurance adjuster goes out to the property and takes a look at the new evidence that you're possibly presenting so you could ultimately get this thing turned around. If you get the reinspection, now you're in the driver's seat, you've got somebody, and now you want to make sure that you are there and show them everything. So anything that you sent them by email or by mail or by whatever it is, make sure that you have all of that printed out for the adjuster when they get there so that you can show them, hey, look, they said this, but here's all the facts, here's what we got. That adjuster normally is independent and will try to do his best to present his report if you've got good evidence to try to get this thing overturned, okay? And that's it. All right, but there is one more thing. There is one more thing that's very important that I want you guys to understand. Besides just understanding the denial letter, besides reading the policy, besides gathering evidence, and besides contacting the insurance company, there's really just one more important thing that you have to remember to make sure that you do on every single one of your claims. And that, of course, is hire a public adjuster. Of course, because this is what we do. All of this, we do this for you to make sure that you are in the driver's seat and you are making sure that all this is done not after the denial letter, but it's done upon the initiation of the claim. So if you've suffered a fire or you've suffered water damage or any kind of catastrophic loss, make sure that all these things that I'm telling you to do after the denial is done beforehand, because if you do it beforehand, you have a much better chance of getting that claim paid and not getting denied. So I keep coughing today, but this is it. This is how you get a denial overturned. It's not as hard as you might think. You can do it as long as when you receive that denial letter and you get that same feeling in your gut of, wait, this is not right, this shouldn't be like that, this is BS. You follow these steps right here, I could almost guarantee your claim will get reversed. And that's what we got, guys. My name is Vince Perry. I'm the Commercial Claims Advocate. I'm here to coach all public adjusters and to help all homeowners after a fire, any kind of catastrophic loss, so that we can make sure that you put your most valuable possession back together again. That's all we got for this week, guys. Wanted to provide some actual good educational content for you, and that's how you get a claim denial reversed to benefit you. All right, guys. See you next week. Peace out. Well, I hope you learned a lot of that show. There is so much in store for you in this channel. If you just fall into that rabbit hole, we've been doing this for 4 years. Click on one of these links here in front of you and see how much more you can learn on the Commercial Claims Show.